It was a crisp evening in London, the kind that carries a soft chill even in spring. Outside the stage door of the Royal Shakespeare Company's theatre, a small group of fans gathered, holding programs, photographs, and camera phones ready. Macbeth rehearsals had just wrapped for the day, and many were hoping for a glimpse, or if they were lucky, a quick word, with Sam Heughan. For weeks, the production had been making headlines, not just for its artistic ambition, but also for the sheer star power of its cast. Fans who had traveled from across the UK, and even as far as the United States, waited patiently, bundled in coats, exchanging stories of how Sam's work had inspired them. A warm arrival. When the stage door finally swung open, Sam stepped out. Tall, sharply dressed in a casual dark coat and scarf, he immediately lit up at the sight of the crowd. "Evening, everyone," he greeted with that easy Scottish charm that fans had come to love. He began moving down the line, signing autographs, posing for photos, and exchanging quick pleasantries. Lia Williams appeared a few moments later, smiling warmly and engaging with those who recognized her. Though not as widely known to the casual fan, her role in the Macbeth production had already been winning quiet praise among theatre insiders. The unexpected question. The night was moving along smoothly, until a voice from the crowd asked a question that shifted the entire energy. A middle-aged woman, clutching an Outlander DVD set, looked Sam directly in the eye and asked, "You've given us so much over the years, but how are you doing, really?" It was the kind of question celebrities often answer with a rehearsed, "I'm fine," or a polite nod. But Sam didn't answer immediately. He froze for a fraction of a second, the easy smile faltering. Then he let out a soft, almost nervous laugh. "Well, that's a good question," he murmured, his voice noticeably quieter. A shift in the air. The crowd seemed to sense something was different. Conversations faded into silence. Sam's shoulders, usually squared and confident, seemed to dip slightly. His eyes flicked downward, and for a moment, it looked as though he was fighting to find the right words. Leah, who had been speaking with another fan just a few steps away, noticed instantly. She crossed over, placing a gentle hand on his back, not possessive, not dramatic, just a quiet anchor. "You don't have to rush," she whispered, almost inaudibly, but close enough for him to hear. Holding back tears. Sam took a deep breath and tried again. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he began, his voice trembling ever so slightly. "About the work, about life, and, well, it's been a lot." A few fans exchanged concerned glances. They were used to seeing him as Jamie Fraser, strong, unshakable, larger than life. But here, under the dim light of a London street lamp, he seemed undeniably human. His eyes glistened, and for a brief second, it looked like he might let the tears fall. Leah subtly shifted closer, her presence a silent reassurance. The hint. Sam glanced up at the crowd again, clearly aware that dozens of phones were recording. A faint smile tugged at his lips, but it was tinged with sadness. "There's something I've been meaning to share with you all," he said slowly, as if weighing every syllable. "Something personal, but I'm not sure tonight is the night." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Leah's expression softened, her gaze fixed on him with the kind of understanding that only comes from shared experience. Leah's quiet support. Not wanting to turn the moment into a spectacle, Leah gently steered the conversation back toward lighter topics. She cracked a small joke about their latest rehearsal mishap, earning a few laughs and easing the tension. But anyone paying attention could see that she wasn't just protecting Sam from the crowd, she was protecting him from himself, from saying something too raw before he was ready. The departure. After a few more autographs and photos, Sam and Leah made their way toward a waiting car. Before stepping inside, Sam turned back to the fans. "Thank you for being here," he said, his voice steadier now. "Really, you have no idea how much it means." The car door closed, and just like that, they were gone. leaving behind a group of fans buzzing with equal parts excitement and concern. What had he been about to say? What truth was heavy enough to bring Sam Heughan to the brink of tears in a public street? 3 days after the emotional moment outside the theater, Sam posted a video to his verified social media accounts. There was no dramatic lighting, no professional backdrop, just Sam sitting in a simple chair, wearing a soft gray sweater, his hair slightly tousled, and Leah seated quietly to his right. The first thing fans noticed was his expression. It wasn't the charismatic smile they were used to. His eyes looked tired, his tone subdued. But there was also something resolute in his demeanor, a determination to finally speak. Breaking the silence. "Hi everyone," he began, his voice low but steady. "I know there's been a lot of speculation since the other night. And I want you to hear this from me, not from headlines." He paused, glancing at Leah briefly before continuing. "The truth is, these past few months have been some of the most challenging of my life. Macbeth has been an extraordinary journey, but it's also been physically and emotionally exhausting in ways I didn't expect." He then shared that during the rehearsal period, he had been dealing with a personal matter that had left him drained. Without going into unnecessary details, he acknowledged that it had taken a toll on his mental health. Leah's role. When Sam's voice wavered, Leah reached over, resting her hand gently on his forearm. She didn't interrupt, she simply anchored him, letting him know he didn't have to carry the weight of the moment alone. At one point, Sam looked directly at her and said, "I wouldn't have gotten through this without you." Leah's eyes glistened, but she kept her composure, offering a small nod and a quiet, "You've done the hard part yourself, Sam." The personal confession. Then came the part that truly stunned fans. Sam admitted that he had considered stepping away from the role of Macbeth entirely. The combination of public pressure, backstage intensity, and his private struggles had made him question whether he could give the audience the performance they deserved. "But every time I thought about walking away," he said, "I thought about the people who believed in me. And Leah was the first on that list." His voice cracked on the last words, and he took a moment to collect himself before continuing. Fans hear the unvarnished truth. Sam made it clear that this wasn't a farewell or an apology, it was a moment of honesty. He wanted fans to understand that even those who seem strong all the time have moments when they falter. "I've spent so much of my career playing characters who can push through anything," he said, "but real life isn't always like that. And I think it's okay to admit when you need help." He glanced at Leah again. "This one reminded me of that." Leah speaks. Though she hadn't planned to talk, Leah added a few words of her own. "When you work with someone in a role as intense as Macbeth, you see them at their best and their most vulnerable. Sam has shown more strength by being honest today than any performance could ever display." Her statement was short, but it resonated deeply. Fans commented that it felt less like a co-star speaking and more like a friend fiercely protecting someone she cares about. The internet reacts. The video spread rapidly, racking up hundreds of thousands of views in the first 24 hours. Hashtags like #proud of Sam and #thank you Leah began trending. Fans shared their own stories of struggling through personal challenges while keeping up appearances, thanking Sam for making vulnerability feel like a form of strength rather than weakness. One fan wrote, "Sam just gave permission to a lot of us to stop pretending we're okay when we're not. That's more powerful than any role he's ever played." Backstage aftermath. Inside the Macbeth production, Sam's openness shifted the atmosphere. Cast and crew members who had been hesitant to address the tension now felt free to acknowledge the pressures they'd all been under. The camaraderie deepened, and rehearsals took on a renewed sense of unity. Leah, for her part, continued to be a steady presence, not just for Sam, but for others in the cast who saw her as someone who could quietly diffuse tension. The premiere that followed. By the time Macbeth premiered, the narrative had changed entirely. The press coverage wasn't just about Sam's performance, which critics praised as ferocious yet heartbreakingly human. It was also about the courage it took for him to open up at such a vulnerable moment. Reviewers noted that his portrayal of Macbeth carried an extra layer of rawness, as though his own emotional journey had bled into the performance in the most authentic way. Closing reflection. For Sam Heughan, the tearful truth wasn't just a confession, it was a turning point. He reminded fans that even the strongest figures can lean on others, and that real strength often comes from admitting you can't do everything alone. For Lia Williams, it was a moment that solidified her reputation not just as a gifted actress, but as a steadfast friend and ally. And for the audience, it was proof that sometimes, the most unforgettable moments happen not on stage, but in the quiet, unguarded spaces where humanity takes center stage.